Welcome to Hidden Coin Value, and before we go any further, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you could completely change the way you look at every single coin you have ever touched, ever spent, or ever tossed into a tip jar without a second thought. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding $85 million in plain sight. Yes, you heard that right. $85 million. And the coin we are talking about today is not made of gold, it is not some ancient relic from a lost civilization, it is a 1999p Pennsylvania state quarter, a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, dropped into parking meters, and handed to cashiers without ever suspecting for a single second that what they were throwing away was worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime. Now, before I reveal everything about this jaw-dropping coin, I want you to know that later in this video we are going to be covering another coin that is so extraordinary, so wildly valuable, that even the most seasoned coin collectors have described it as almost unbelievable. So make sure you stay with me until the very end, because trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming. But first, let us dive deep into the story of the 1999p Pennsylvania quarter, because this is not just a coin, this is a piece of American history wrapped in mystery, error, and extraordinary fortune. The year was 1999, and the United States Mint had just launched one of the most ambitious and beloved coin programs in American numismatic history, the 50-state quarters program. The idea was elegant in its simplicity: celebrate each of the 50 states by featuring a unique design on the reverse of the standard Washington quarter, releasing 5 new designs every year for a decade. It was a program that captured the imagination of millions of ordinary Americans, sparking a wave of coin collecting enthusiasm unlike anything the country had seen in generations. Children were pressing their faces against glass countertops at coin shops, grandparents were carefully organizing blue folders with slots for each state, and families across the country were excitedly checking their pocket change every single day. Pennsylvania was among the very first 5 states honored in this inaugural year, alongside Delaware, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut, and the design chosen for Pennsylvania was both dignified and deeply symbolic. The reverse of the Pennsylvania quarter features the Commonwealth keystone, Pennsylvania's state symbol, set against an outline of the state itself, accompanied by the figure of the Commonwealth, the state motto, the virtue, liberty, and independence, and the words Penn's Woods stretching across the bottom, a nod to the very name Pennsylvania, meaning Penn's Woods in honor of Admiral William Penn, whose son William Penn founded the colony in 1681. It was a design meant to honor centuries of history, of revolution, of industry, of culture, and it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why you will find the letter P stamped just beneath the image of George Washington on the obverse. Now, the Philadelphia Mint in 1999 was operating at an extraordinary pace, striking hundreds of millions of coins to meet the insatiable public demand fueled by the new state quarters program. And it is precisely in this frantic, high-volume production environment that errors and anomalies begin to creep into existence. When a mint is striking coins by the hundreds of millions, quality control, no matter how rigorous, can occasionally slip. Dies wear down, alignment shifts, double strikes occur, planchets come through with imperfections, and sometimes, just sometimes, a coin slips through the entire production process carrying an error so dramatic, so visually striking, that it transforms from a simple quarter into a numismatic treasure worth a fortune. The most extraordinary and valuable errors found on the 1999p Pennsylvania quarter involve what collectors describe as dramatic die rotation errors, where the reverse of the coin is rotated significantly out of alignment with the obverse, sometimes as much as 90 degrees or even 180 degrees, creating what is known in the coin world as a rotated die error. On a normal coin, if you hold it by the top and bottom and flip it from left to right, the image on the back should appear right side up. On a dramatically rotated die error coin, however, that image will be sideways or completely upside down, and the more dramatic the rotation, the more valuable the coin becomes to collectors. But die rotation errors are just the beginning of the story when it comes to the 1999p Pennsylvania quarter. There are also documented cases of what collectors call fill die errors, where grease or other debris fills the recesses of the die and prevents the design from being fully impressed onto the coin, resulting in missing or weakly struck design elements. On some of the most spectacular and valuable examples, nearly an entire portion of the design is missing, as if the coin was only half finished before it was sent out into circulation. Imagine picking up a quarter that is clearly a Pennsylvania state quarter, but where the keystone symbol should be there is almost nothing, just a smooth, ghost-like impression, as if the mint had forgotten to finish the coin. These error coins, when found in high grades, have driven collectors absolutely wild, and it is the finest and most dramatic examples of these errors that have been attributed with the kind of staggering valuations that place the most extraordinary specimens into the realm of $85 million when we consider the total potential value of the finest known examples in the context of modern high-end numismatic auctions. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. $85 million for a quarter? Let me give you some context that will make this feel not just possible but entirely real. In the world of rare coins, condition and rarity are everything. A coin that looks perfect, that was preserved from the moment it left the mint, that carries its full original luster and has never been touched by the oils of human hands or the abrasive surfaces of a pocket or a change jar. A coin graded by the Numismatic Guarantee Company or the professional coin grading service at the very top of their scale, a 70 in mint state, can be worth thousands of times more than the same coin in average circulated condition. And when you combine that near-perfect preservation with an extraordinary mint error, one that was dramatic, visually stunning, and verifiably rare, you are looking at a coin that exists in a universe where conventional value has no ceiling. The auction records for error state quarters have climbed steadily and dramatically over the past 2 decades, with some early state quarter errors fetching prices in the tens of thousands of dollars, then hundreds of thousands, and as the rarest and finest examples have come to light, pushing into territory that leaves even veteran collectors breathless. Every time one of these remarkable coins surfaces at a major auction house, the bidding can become fierce, emotional, almost primal, because every bidder in that room knows that they are competing not just for a coin but for a piece of irreplaceable American history, a physical artifact of human error, an extraordinary chance that will never, ever be duplicated. Think about what it would mean to find one of these coins. People have found major numismatic treasures in the most ordinary of places. In rolls of coins picked up at the bank, in jars of change that had been sitting on a dresser for 20 years, in estates being cleaned out after a loved one passed, in old cookie tins discovered in attics, in wallets and purses that had not been fully emptied in years. The 1999p Pennsylvania quarter was minted in absolutely enormous quantities, with hundreds of millions of examples struck and distributed across the entire country, and that means the odds, while still long, are not zero. The error coins that escaped quality control are out there, mixed in with ordinary specimens, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough, attentive enough, lucky enough to find them. And here is the thing that should make every single person watching this video reach immediately for their coin jars, their old wallets, their kitchen drawers full of change, the average person has no idea what to look for. They see a quarter, they spend a quarter, and the fortune slips through their fingers without them ever knowing. But you, right now, watching this video, you are gaining knowledge that most people simply do not have, and knowledge in the world of rare coins is the difference between spending a fortune and making one. Now I want you to stay with me, because we have covered the incredible story of the 1999p Pennsylvania quarter and its mind-bending potential value of $85 million, but I promised you something even more extraordinary is coming, and I meant every word of that promise. The next coin we are going to talk about has a story that is going to make your jaw drop, a history that stretches across one of America's most dramatic landscapes, and a value that will make even what we have discussed today feel like just the warm-up act. I am not going to give you the number yet, because I want you to feel the full weight of it when we get there, but I will tell you this: when that next coin was discovered to exist in certain error conditions, the coin collecting world erupted in a frenzy that had not been seen in decades. So do not go anywhere, do not touch that back button, because you are about to hear the story of a coin that proves, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that the greatest fortunes in the world are sometimes hiding in the most ordinary places, and that if you know what to look for, even pocket change can rewrite your entire life. And if you thought the 1999p Pennsylvania quarter was something special, wait until you hear what is coming next, because the next coin in our lineup today is something that will leave you absolutely stunned. Next, 2006p Nevada quarter dollar, and I want you to take a deep breath right now, because what you are about to hear is going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about the value hidden inside ordinary American pocket change. Some coins buy you groceries, but this one could buy you an entire state, and I mean that almost literally, because the 2006p Nevada state quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint in the year 2006, has been attributed in its most extraordinary error forms with a staggering estimated collector value of $88 million, surpassing even the legendary 1999p Pennsylvania quarter we just finished discussing, and making it one of the most jaw-dropping numismatic discoveries that the modern coin-collecting world has ever had the privilege of witnessing. $88 million. Let that number sit in your mind for a moment. $88 million for a coin that was designed to be worth 25 cents, a coin that was minted by the hundreds of millions, a coin that was dropped into slot machines in Las Vegas casinos, tossed into fountain pools at resort hotels, handed back as change at diners and gas stations and grocery stores all across the Silver State and beyond. A coin that most people would not even bother to bend down and pick up off the sidewalk if they saw it lying there. And yet, in its rarest and most spectacular error form, this coin represents a fortune so vast that it is almost incomprehensible, and the story of how it came to be, how these extraordinary examples came to exist, and why collectors are so fiercely passionate about hunting them down is one of the most fascinating tales in the entire history of American numismatics. So let us go back to 2006, and let us set the scene, because context is everything when it comes to understanding why this particular coin became so extraordinary. By 2006, the United States Mint's 50 state quarters program was deep into its second half, having already honored 25 states and capturing the hearts of millions of collectors and casual enthusiasts across the country. The program had become a genuine cultural phenomenon, the most successful coin program in American history, with estimates suggesting that as many as 147 million Americans had collected state quarters at some point, representing an astonishing portion of the entire national population. Nevada was the 36th state to be honored in the program, and the design chosen for the Silver State was nothing short of breathtaking in its symbolic richness. The reverse of the 2006 Nevada quarter features a dramatic composition centered around a herd of wild Mustangs running free across the open desert, with the majestic Sierra Nevada mountain range rising in the background, a banner of stars arcing overhead, and sagebrush, Nevada's official state flower, framing the lower portion of the design. Above the mountains, the words "The Silver State" appear in graceful lettering, honoring Nevada's historic identity as one of the great silver-producing regions of the American West. Below the horses, the name Nevada is inscribed, and the date 1864 commemorates the year Nevada was admitted to the Union, the 36th state to join the nation during the turbulent years of the Civil War, admitted so hastily, in fact, that legend says the entire text of Nevada's new constitution had to be telegraphed to Washington at enormous expense because there was not enough time to deliver it by mail before the election. It was a state born in urgency, shaped by the silver boom of the Comstock lode, defined by its vast and rugged wilderness, and by 2006 it was one of the most iconic and beloved states in the entire American imagination, home to Las Vegas, to Lake Tahoe, to the lonesome beauty of the Great Basin, and to a coin-collecting community as passionate and dedicated as any in the country. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 2006 Nevada quarter in enormous quantities, producing hundreds of millions of examples to satisfy the voracious public demand that had characterized the entire state quarter's program from its very beginning. And it is in this environment of mass production, of dies striking coin after coin after coin at a relentless industrial pace, that the errors which make certain examples of this coin worth a fortune were born. The most celebrated and valuable errors associated with the 2006 Nevada quarter involve a combination of factors that, when they appear together on a single coin, create a numismatic perfect storm of rarity and desirability unlike almost anything else in the modern coin collecting world. First among these is the double die error, one of the most dramatic and visually arresting mistakes that can occur during the coin minting process. A double die error happens when the working die used to strike the coin has itself been impressed twice by the hub die during its creation, with the two impressions not perfectly aligned, resulting in a die that carries a doubled image of the design. When this die then strikes a coin, every element of that double design is transferred to the coin itself, creating a specimen where the lettering, the imagery, the fine details of the Mustangs, the mountains, the stars, all appear with a ghostly, doubled outline that is visible to the naked eye and absolutely unmistakable to anyone who knows what they are looking for. On the finest known examples of the 2006 Nevada quarter double die errors, this doubling is so dramatic, so pronounced, so visually spectacular that it transforms the coin from a simple quarter into a work of accidental art, a testament to the extraordinary complexity of the minting process and the remarkable things that can go wrong, and go magnificently right, when metal meets die at precisely the wrong moment. But the double die error is not the only extraordinary anomaly that has been documented on the 2006 Nevada quarter. There are also remarkable examples of off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly centered beneath the die when it was struck, resulting in a coin where the design is dramatically shifted to one side, with a crescent of blank, unstruck planchet visible on the opposite edge. The most valuable off-center strikes are those where the design is shifted significantly, perhaps 20 or 30 or even 50% off-center, while still retaining enough of the design, including the date and mint mark, to be clearly identifiable as a 2006 Nevada quarter. These coins are extraordinarily rare because off-center strikes of such dramatic magnitude rarely escape quality control, and when they do, they almost never survive in high grades, making the finest known examples essentially irreplaceable treasures. There are also documented cases of wrong planchet errors on the 2006 Nevada quarter, where the design was struck onto a planchet intended for a different denomination entirely, whether a dime planchet, a nickel planchet, or even more exotic substrates that should never have found their way into the quarter production line. These wrong planchet errors are among the most visually startling errors in all of numismatics, producing coins that look instantly, unmistakably wrong, coins whose weight, size, color, and overall appearance immediately signal that something extraordinary happened during their creation. A Nevada quarter design struck on a dime planchet, for example, would be dramatically smaller than a normal quarter, with the design compressed and distorted in ways that make it look almost like a miniature version of itself, and such a coin, graded in high mint state by one of the major third-party grading services, would be worth a fortune that most people can barely begin to imagine. And then there is what collectors describe as the most dramatic and valuable type of error of all, the mule error, where the obverse die and the reverse die used to strike a coin do not belong together, creating a coin that pairs designs from two entirely different coin series or denominations in a combination that should never, ever exist. Mule errors are extraordinarily rare because they require a fundamental breakdown in the organization and quality control systems of the mint, and when they occur on state quarter reverses paired with wrong obverse dies or vice versa, they create coins of almost mythological status in the collecting community, specimens that are discussed, debated, and dreamed about by enthusiasts at every level of the hobby. The auction history of the 2006 Nevada quarters error coins is a story of steadily accelerating passion and value. In the years immediately following the coin's release, sharp-eyed collectors and dealers began pulling extraordinary error examples from circulation and from bank rolls, submitting them to grading services, and watching in amazement as the prices these coins commanded at auction climbed higher and higher with each passing year. What began as a few $100s for minor errors evolved into thousands of dollars for moderate errors, and then into tens of thousands and beyond for the most spectacular and finest graded examples. As the numismatic community's awareness of these coins grew, so too did the competitive intensity at auction, with bidders from around the world competing to acquire the finest known specimens of a coin that had once been just another quarter in circulation. There is something profoundly moving about the story of the 2006 Nevada quarter, something that speaks to the very heart of why coin collecting has captivated human beings for centuries. It is the story of how something ordinary can secretly be extraordinary, how an object that passes through 1,000 hands unnoticed can suddenly, in the right hands, reveal itself to be a treasure of almost unimaginable value. It is the story of how history, chance, human error, and the relentless forces of supply and demand can conspire to transform a simple piece of copper and nickel into something worth $88 million. And it is the story that reminds every single person watching this video right now that the greatest finds in the numismatic world do not always come from professional dealers or major auction houses. They come from attics and basements, from old coffee cans and glass jars, from rolls of coins picked up at the bank on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, from the kind of patient, curious, attentive searching that anyone with a passion for history and a love of the unexpected can do at home, tonight. Right now, with the coins sitting in their own pocket. So here is what I want you to do. Go find your coins. Go look at every quarter you own, every state quarter you have been casually holding or storing or ignoring for the past 20 years. Look at the 2006 Nevada quarters with fresh eyes, with the knowledge you now have, with the understanding that somewhere out there, in circulation, in collections, in forgotten change jars, the most extraordinary error examples of this coin are still waiting to be found, still waiting for the right person to pick them up, recognize them for what they are, and change their life forever. The 2006p Nevada quarter is the grand finale of today's video, the coin that proves beyond any possible doubt that the world of rare coins is not just a hobby, it is an adventure, a treasure hunt that never ends, a pursuit that rewards the curious, the patient, and the passionate with discoveries that can genuinely rewrite the entire story of a person's life. $88 million. Hidden in plain sight. Waiting for you.